I think everybody influences, the people around them. And we should want to get dressed and look great, not just to make us feel better, but it makes others who look at us feel better.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, where I interview thoughtful, inspiring, and influential guests who are making their mark on the world and contributing to the common good. And making your mark, big or small, is creating a legacy, and it's one of the proven ways we can age with vibrance and energy. And Zestful Aging podcast is my legacy. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, psychotherapist and fellow Zestful Ager. And our lovely music is courtesy of Jodie Banker, who was a previous guest on Zestful Aging. Find out more about her on jodiebanker.com. And to find out more about the podcast, my web courses, and my other offerings, hop on over to zestfulaging.com. Well, I've got my little loyal Jack Russell Sparky right by my side. He's pretty wet because we just went for a nice little walk and a swim, but we're ready to go now. So let's begin, and we have a really fun interview for you today. Our guest checks a lot of the boxes we've talked about before and a lot of things that I personally love. Thrifting, creativity, reinvention in mid-age, and multi-generationality. That's a big word. Jodie Filogomo is the voice between Jodie's Touch of Style, where she showcases how it's never too late to look great. And the site includes her mother, Charlotte, who is 82, and friend Leslie, who is 70 years old, along with Jodie, who's 54. Jodie's a retired dentist and has reinvented herself to discuss tips and tricks about style, budget shopping, and positivity. And she's all about inspiring women over 50 to look great and feel their best. Welcome to the show, Jodie.
Thanks for having me, Nicole. This is fun.
It is already fun, and it's probably going to get a lot more fun because you are all about things that, well, the podcast is based on. And it's doing things with so much heart and fun and creativity. And as we age, things really change. And it sounds like you have adapted to that in a big way. You went from being a cosmetic dentist to a multi-generational style consultant. Can you tell me about that?
Well, it's funny because a lot of people think it's very far-fetched, very opposite. But being a cosmetic dentist is all about looking good. So it's just at a whole different level. And I've always been someone who likes shopping. I grew up with my mom, who is very thrifty and is a seamstress. And so I've learned over the years that looking good makes you feel better. It's in the dental realm, of course, it's a little more muted, and you have to you don't wear as many statement pieces.
Unless you get gold caps.
Well, that's very true. I used to laugh that I could never wear like big bracelets or long necklaces because for some reason patients didn't like it when they fell into their mouths and hit them in the
face. Got
Right,
clonked with
exactly.
your charms. Oh,
Exactly.
that's really funny. So you grew up with the sense of making something out of, maybe, I don't know how your mom did her seamstress work, but like you grew up knowing how to make stuff and make it beautiful, make it better.
Well, I have to admit, when your mom does it, you don't always think that's cool at first.
Well, yes.
And
I know about that.
right? I mean, I wanted and when you're younger too, you want to look like everybody else.
That's right. That's right.
And so I think it's once I've gotten older that I realized, that's not what I want to be. I want to be myself. I want to be unique. And I try to showcase that and talk about that a lot, because we have so much experience, so many stories. We know so much more now, and we should show that.
How does that come through in style? So when you're thinking about what to wear, what are the kinds of questions you should ask yourself?
Well, I think a lot of it is, what do I want people to focus on? Because no matter what, people are going to focus on something about you, no matter what. So if you don't want them to look at, for me, it's usually my messy hair, then I try to put the focus either elsewhere, like on a beautiful necklace, maybe a interesting top, fun shoes, even a hat, cover it up, So I feel like someone is going to notice something about you. It's, that's the usual. I don't want to be invisible, and I don't want anybody that I come in contact with to be invisible, because everyone I have met has a wonderful story.
Oh my gosh, I love this way of, I don't know if I'm putting words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost feels like you're saying you're enhancing yourself as you age and saying, these qualities have always been here, but I'm really going to show them off.
Absolutely. And because it shows others that they can be beautiful too. I think everybody influences the people around them. Mm-hmm. And we should want to get dressed and look great, not just to make us feel better, but it makes others who look at us feel better.
Yeah, that's like we're mammals, right? I mean, we're all about being in our little tribes and being, and certainly there's all kinds of research in my field about sort of contagion, in the sense that if there's a lot of positivity, people tend to be more positive in a group. Same with negativity, that, our behavior wears off on our mates.
Absolutely. And so looking nice is just part of that, and it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't even have to be hard. Once you learn about it, I feel like everything in life gets easier the more you do it. Mm-hmm. And so putting together a nice outfit, you do it a couple times, it gets easier. And trying new things, I think, is so important, because you may think, oh, this is my style, and then you're set. But then unfortunately, you get stuck. I feel like we get into ruts with our style otherwise. And then it can end up looking frumpy, because life moves on, styles and trends moves on. And it's not to say we have to always, run out and try the newest trend, but we want to look relevant. We want to look like we live in this day and age.
No peasant skirts for you.
Well, and they will come back. Trust me. They're kind of coming back right now.
Yeah, I guess you're right, the boho. So What I found really inspiring, I guess, Jodie, is you went from this career as a dentist, and then you went to school. You had training in style merchandising or fashion?
I did a little style merchandising. I did a little even interior decorating, some classes, color classes. I wanted to, what I like, but I also wanted to learn what is out there and what people are learning on their own. And I think one of the things I've learned is we need to trust our own creativity, because we can be told something over and over, and if you're told it over and over, you tend to believe it. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't always make it true for you. And so I think trying new things and being open to new things is the best learning we can have.
You know what I was thinking too is many many women that I speak to as clients are saying, listen, I know there's a whole new world out there for me now that my kids are launched. Now, this is, we've got COVID going on, which makes it complicated. But, I'm launching my kids. My career's winding down. I may or may not be deciding to spend the rest of my life with my partner. I know there's a whole new life out there, but I have no idea where to start. And I'm wondering if starting with trying out a new outfit or color or shoes is a way to put your toe in the water of, let me be a little courageous here.
I would absolutely say yes, only because, people will tell me, getting dressed or clothes, those are frivolous things. And I will counteract that what you're wearing makes you feel a certain way. If you put on a suit, you feel more professional, and there is scientific research to that.
Yes.
So if you put on happy colors, even though you only see it for a second, maybe when you go by a mirror, when you look down, it's how others react to you also that can make such a difference.
It's a real message, isn't it? If we're always wearing, even if we are trying to be like, sort of urban chic, if you're always wearing black, there's something to be said about that. And I noticed that even as part of the evaluation when I'm meeting with clients, why are they always wearing gray or black? And you can start to see when they're feeling better. Oh, there's a colorful little, piece of jewelry. I wonder what that means.
And I do think we tend to dress for our mood. So, it only makes sense if you're not feeling fabulous that you grab the more muted colors and darker colors. It makes sense. But then on the other side of the coin, then what happens if you grab brighter colors? Maybe that will help your mood.
Hacking. You're mood hacking.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's so cool. So this is all lovely, but there's an additional piece that is super lovely, which is you are doing this also with your mom and your friend, who obviously are different generations. Yes. So talk a little bit about how that works.
Well, it all started when I lived in Denver, and my mom lived 5 minutes away, and then my stepmom lived 10 minutes away. And when I wanted to start the website, the blog about fashion and lifestyle, I thought it would be much more interesting to have other perspectives and have other women instead of just myself. So I twisted their arms, and so we had the three of us until I moved out here to Arizona. And then I grabbed my friend instead of my stepmom, because my stepmom is still in Denver for now.
I see. Okay.
And so it's great because I have, like you said, different decades, but they're also different body shapes. And I think that's very helpful to other women to see body shapes that they can relate to.
Boy, you're just hitting all the boxes here with me, because there's the whole, I'm a specialist in eating disorders, and there's the whole thing about your body is not, chances are you won't be looking like a model unless you win the genetic lottery
or get photoshopped.
Or get photoshopped, or probably live on coffee and cigarettes, which a lot of models did before there was so much attention. Right. So you're saying, listen, there's a lot of body shapes out there. Let's dress them up and make them look great.
And, one of the things I heard and always remember is that today is the youngest you will ever be. So embrace it. You should, and this is your body today. So dress for it as it is, which is one of the reasons I like thrifting so much, is you don't have to spend a lot of money, especially if you're trying to find out what your style is, or if you want to change it, or if your body's changing as it usually does through menopause. This is a great time to try new things and try them at a less expensive version.
So let's talk about the nuts and bolts of this. So you go into, will you say to your mom, what time you're ready to go? How does this work? And you guys go in together, you split up, tell me what it looks like in real life.
Well, it's many different ways, but a lot of times when we go traveling, because we are new to Arizona, we will go around and explore different places, and we tend to find thrift or consignment stores, or sometimes just a regular store, a boutique, and we all like to shop, so we go in together, and most of the time we look for things we like. That's human nature. We gravitate toward the things we like, and then we'll show each other things, and the nice thing is we each will also find things that we know what each other will like, or we'll try to push each other. Hey, Mom, you ought to try this. And she'll look at it and say, I don't know. And I said, well, just try it on. And a lot of times it looks so different tried on than it does when you're just standing there and it's on the hanger. And we do push each other. And I think good friends do that. Good friends will say, well, let's try something a little different, because it's more fun that way. It's very freeing to get out of that normal box of what you always look like and what you always dress.
And so you're trying to go into these shops, whether they're consignment or thrift or boutiques, and one of the things that you have in your mind is, let me be open-minded and curious.
Yes, and it's fun to look for different items, statement items, or things that not everybody else has. Like I said, it's our time to be unique and to showcase, our uniqueness. Like my mom just loves jewelry, any kind of jewelry, and Leslie loves scarves, and I love everything.
Do you want to tell us some of the favorite scores you've made at the Thrifties?
Well, we laugh that my mom is the best gift shop person. She will go in any gift shop and find just some treasures. And it was just on the blog recently where she actually went into a gas station and found this wonderful bracelet. I mean, of all places. But, I have found some Stuart Weitzman sandals for $8 at Goodwill. And I have to admit, when I bought them, I didn't even know the name. I'm not so much of a brand person. I have learned it more, but at the start, I didn't know it. And for some reason, I came home and I Googled it and found out, these were like $300 sandals.
Oh,
and
wow.
So, that's always a thrill. But I do try to tell people, or at least reiterate, that it's not the brand that's important, because no one else really sees the brand name. It's really, how does it make you feel? How does it look on you? Especially the color. I'm a big color person. I do think finding the colors that look best on us makes it easier than trying to work around that. So I don't try to focus on brand so much, but it is good it feels so good to get a good deal and find something you really like.
So you're keeping these pieces, or are you shopping for other people or reselling them? Do you have different aspects of this, or is it mostly you going to dress yourself and your friends?
We pretty much just dress ourselves. I haven't bought things to sell to others, but I do like shopping for others. I love shopping, period. And I have a couple of friends that they will send me, oh, hey, I'm looking for a pink sweater like this. And, they give me the specifics. I want something that's whatever, less than $50. This is my size. I like a V-neck. And so then I will send them links that they can then shop, and that will hit their fancy. And I always send them with the things they've requested. I always then send them a surprise, and one that maybe doesn't click all the boxes they asked for, but I think would look great on them. And they don't always like it, but it's fun to kind of push them, just like I'm trying to push everyone else.
I have been found snapping pictures at the Goodwill and sending them by text to my friends and saying, "Found this perfect dress. Do you want it?"
Yes, yes.
you gotta do that for your people. It's such a great thing. It's such a great gift.
Well, and especially because it's fun, and you're helping someone else. To me, that is the best thing ever. And, I came upon this getting out of my box, especially when I first went to this boutique in New York, and I'd look around, and this is when I was a dentist, and so I had a very professional look. I would only wear certain things, and I thought there was a right way and a wrong way to dress, and this boutique owner was just lovely, and she would bring in all different kinds of things for me and say, "Oh, you should try this. Oh, you should try this." And many of these things would be something I just would never have picked up myself, but I would try them on because she brought them in, and I bought many of those things, and then I would get so many compliments, and it really made me open my eyes to the fact that maybe I'm not the best judge of character for what I should always wear.
I like that. That's really great, is to the possibility that maybe I don't know as much as I think I do about what looks good on me.
It's the thing about being more open to other styles and fashions. I can't tell you how many times even I've said a new style or trend will come out, and I'll be like, "Oh, I'll never wear that. I'll never." And then here I am trying it out, and most of the time I'll be, "Oh, I love this now." So we should never say never, right? And we should be much more open. It's more fun now, so why not?
So you obviously are doing a lot of shopping and looking around and experimenting, and you're also blogging. What are the other activities you're doing around this new career?
I mostly spend the time on the blog. For the three of us to go out and take photos, that's a good day activity, because we like to go out and explore, and then editing the photos. So photography has become a new skill. I'm not saying I'm great at it, but it's become a new skill.
Yeah.
And then blogging in itself is a challenge, a technological challenge. But then because of that, I've also met women. Some of them are what I'd consider pen pals, since you and I both know that term. But but then, part of the blog is also social media, and that can just take up a huge amount of time.
Amen on that.
But it's been, I've learned to change my perception of it. At first, I thought it was a waste of time. But now I have learned that I've met women, and we've become friends, and there's even women around here that we've met in person, and so I've tried to look at it as, I'm doing this to grow, and I've been inspired by many of the women. There's this great group of women with gray hair who embrace it, and seeing them look great in their hair has inspired me to let my silvers come through. And I think we can all learn from seeing other women doing other things than what we would normally do.
Yes. Do you use any apps in terms of, you said you're new to Arizona, do you have any apps that you would recommend for people? I know when I'm traveling, I look up at like best thrift stores for Albuquerque, which, by the way, they're excellent. Do you use any guidelines like that, or any?
Well, that's brilliant. But when we were first starting to move out here and thinking about it, I joined this email called Only in Your State, and so I get an email almost daily about Only in Arizona, which will tell us places to go, restaurants, things off the beaten path. And so that's been a great resource. I've also found the Goodwills out here in Arizona are very nice, and they have a great setup where I can find ones, in my area. So that's been a great resource. Because we also, as much as we love the consignment and thrift stores, I also love supporting the small businesses, in the area. So the boutiques and just local vendors also, I think that's very important.
One thing I recently found after interviewing Adam Mentor, he's a Bloomberg writer, and he wrote secondhand about the thrift in fact in Arizona, sort of the thrift process. It was really fascinating, and I would, if anyone is interested in looking back, I don't have the number right in front of me, but if you look for Adam Mentor, you'll find it. He talks about, a lot of people, I certainly didn't know, some of the works that Goodwill and Salvation Army do for kids and adolescents that nobody else is really interested in doing.
Right. They have a great backstory.
They really do.
When you find out about it, it really makes you want to support them even more.
And just a little a piece of information I got speaking to Adam: when you are donating, make sure you're not donating stuff that isn't really good quality, because what that does is it makes more work for them. If they can't sell it, they have to get rid of it, and it costs them money. So the best thing you can do is give them quality stuff that actually has some resale value, and that will really be greatly appreciated.
I mean, that's a great point. I mean, if it's something you wouldn't wear because it's worn out, it's not fair to give it to them.
Yep, I agree with that. So can you give us maybe a little bit of advice for folks who are listening all over the world and they have access? In fact, when I was, before COVID, I was up in Canada and went to the Salvation Army up there. And I know you don't need sorrel boots in Arizona, but I am telling you, I've never seen so many sorrel boots in my life. And, they're very expensive. And I think I got mine for $11 Canadian.
Nice.
So that was like, I was posting that all over. That was like we went to Old Town, Quebec, and that was one of the highlights, I have to say. But what do you, for people all over the world who are listening and we're piquing their curiosity and they're saying, that sort of sounds fun, but I don't know where to start, what would you suggest?
Well, I think a couple of things are very helpful. One is taking a friend, because especially the big stores, the ARCs, the Goodwills, Salvation Armies, they can be huge, big, so much in there, and it can be overwhelming. And so if you take a friend, especially a friend who likes to shop and who is honest about, what you should look for and not, then it can be helpful, because they can help you look through things. I did this with a friend recently. I met her at a Goodwill. We went in. She doesn't really love to shop. And so, we just kind of walked through the aisles. We didn't start looking at all of the pieces, because that can be overwhelming. And so, we just kind of walk through, and a lot of times something will grab your eye, something that you like. And she pulled out an olive green vest, and I said, "Oh, that's cute. Try it on." And she tried it on, and she actually bought it, but it was just kind of meandering through, not trying to stress out about finding something. You're just there to have fun. And I think that's the best thing. And it's too hard to go with something in mind. Like if you said, "I'm going to look for boots," I swear you never find what you want.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
You should just, now that being said, I do have a list on my phone of things that I might want to look for when I'm there. And I just peruse it right before we go. But then I don't just look for those things. I just look at everything. And I'm telling you, I have found things in the kids section. I have found things in the men's section.
Yes.
And I have found things that aren't my size, but I like the buttons, and I've taken off the buttons. Scarves can be great for table runners. It's using that creativity sometimes that can be your best resource.
And do you have tips on your website, Jodie, about things that you can use for other things, upcycling?
Oh, that's a great idea. I should write a full post on that. But almost every post I have, even if it's, if we're talking about yellow shoes and you're thinking, no, I don't like yellow shoes, I will have insider tips in that post on other things. Like maybe my mom found this pair of pants and she didn't like them, and so she cut them off and made culottes. So there's always different ideas and information in almost every post. But I also have a couple of posts on tips for thrifting, tips for online thrifting, because especially with COVID right now, if people aren't comfortable going to the stores,
yes,
you can certainly find some great things online. I just put out a post a month or so ago on Poshmark, which is here in the United States, which is a great resource for secondhand, sometimes some new items. And, there's some great tips about how to get some things for even a better price on there. And so, there's lots of good information. And a lot of times, heck, even if you don't come to my site, if you just Google, how do I find a good deal on whatever you want, a red shirt or something, you'll get some great information, especially I say Poshmark. Have you ever used Poshmark, Nicole?
I have.
Yeah, I feel like I have friends that are like, oh, I only like this pair of pants, this Amanda version of this brand, da-da-da. And, if you're someone who likes a certain brand and style, searching on Poshmark can give you, those same things very easily without having to spend so much time in a store looking. I think that can be so beneficial.
Yeah, I think so. It seems like secondhand clothes is starting to kind of having a moment right now. I've seen articles about, that we're becoming much more aware of how disposable style is really having a negative impact on the environment.
Yes, it's the slow fashion as opposed to the fast fashion. And especially on Instagram, it's been great. There's a lot of hashtags with thrifted, and I'm part of a thrifted challenge that we do once a month. And it's great because it makes you realize that just because it's not new to you, it can still look great. You can find some great items. And I'll admit, I don't just get clothes there. I have a lot of my home decor. Our patio is full of some great thrifted items. People who are creative of changing things up and painting things just can have a heyday.
Yes, you can transform things, and I have done the same. And in fact, I have my living room furniture is leather, and I'm not exactly sure how it was like remaindered, or it was the entire set came from the Goodwill.
Wow.
And, it's just, I think that they had to deal with some of the local furniture stores that if they weren't selling, they get the furniture stores I think they get a tax break as well for donating.
Sure.
So I'm right with you, and I'm proud to to say it.
Well, yeah. At least one of the pushes I've been seeing, it's environmentally conscious. Instead of always buying new or throwing things out, that we're recycling. And I recycle not just from the thrift stores, but a lot of my friends will give me things, and then I'll pass things on to other friends. Why not share? It's a great way to keep the great things that we have going on for different stories and different lives.
Yes, indeed. Tell us how we can find out more about you, Jodie, and Touch of Style.
So my website is jtouchofstyle.com.
Okay.
And you can always Google Jodie's Touch of Style too. My name, Jodie, is Jodie. So it's hard for people to remember that. So I put it as jtouchofstyle.com. And then on Facebook and Instagram, it's jtouchofstyle.
Okay. Great. I think that'll be really fun for people to look at before they venture out.
Yes.
I always bring water with me and some, protein. Sometimes you need to keep your energy up, because it is, I don't know how you feel about this. I think it's sort of finding a little bit of a needle in a haystack, at least where we are in upstate New York. Most of the stuff is not interesting to me. But boy, when I hit on an Eileen Fisher, organic wool sweater for $4.99, right, I can barely contain my shrieking.
I always say it's feast or famine.
Yes. No, I think that's exactly right. But I love this idea of curiosity and openness, because that really points to the research that shows what keeps us young is that not setting into this like rigid thought pattern. It's like, oh, let me try this, let me wonder about this, and that's what keeps us feeling vibrant and alive.
And I think it can make us happier too, because when you're stuck with rules, then you worry about breaking them. And so if you're more open to, well, I don't need to stick into those rules, I can, try these new things, then you don't feel so confined and worried about, is this right or is this wrong? So many women, that's their worry. I'm afraid to wear color because it's not, what if I don't do it right? And so if we just are more open to, oh, these can look great together, as long as you like them, that's what's important.
Yeah, I think that's a really great message. And where this, dressing really has a lot of subtle meaning, and it's important and it's valuable, and it's not just it's not just clothes, especially.
It's not just clothes.
Yeah,
It's not.
Oh,
we all have to get dressed every day.
Yes.
It's not. I guess it's optional in some places, but most of the time it's not optional. So we might as well have fun with it, at least when you can.
I love it. Well, it was such a delight to speak with you today, Jodie, and learn about how you've really reversed direction and are having so much fun with this multi-generation thrifting and styling. And it sounds like you're having a lot of fun, too.
It has been a lot of fun. And it's always fun to talk to someone who enjoys the hunt of thrifting just like we do.
Yeah. Oh, it's really fun. And I feel like I have to be in the mindset. I can't be too tired or cranky or something. I have to be, you
need time for it too.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for sharing the fun. I think our audience is going to be curious and go onto your website and maybe try some things on that they hadn't put together before and bring some joy to their lives.
Joy is what it's all about. Life is too short otherwise.
You said it. Thanks, Jodie.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends. I love to hear from my listeners. Send me an email at NicoleChristina.com. It's no secret that everyone's feeling pretty restless and unsettled right now. Our lives are upside down and the future is feeling pretty uncertain. But if you're anything like me, organizing my stuff can help me feel a little calmer. It's something I can do to help me feel a little more in control and in charge of my own life. If you think decluttering could help you feel better and you could use a little assistance with that, check out the online course I've developed with professional organizer and designer Carrie Luderin. It's called Too Much Stuff. And Too Much Stuff is different from other courses or articles or guidance you may have used up. We give you clear steps to deal with the clutter and the tools to help you face the overwhelming feelings and the emotions that come up when we're going through our clutter. And a lot of those emotions are just feeling anxious or guilty or just basically flooded with a lot of different confusing feelings. The course is really practical. It's realistic. The lessons are short and punchy, and they're really manageable. We're not trying to set you up for some long exploratory, super in-depth, burdensome experience. We want something really helpful for you right now. We all need help with our anxiety. So being surrounded by more calm and less chaos can really help. So now's a good time to clear out the clutter so we can focus on what's really important in our lives. So find out more at zestfulaging.com. You'll see more about this under the web courses tab. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email at zestfulaging@gmail.com. Thanks so much. And stay tuned next week for another interview with a fascinating and inspiring guest.